Today we're going to take a look at my new undersized big man build and just kind of talk about the pros and cons of using this type of build. Not only are we going to talk about the pros and cons of this build, but I'm going to show you guys how to make this build as well as showing you guys some gameplay in the park as well as the rec center. But let's get started. Alright, so when it comes to making this build, you're going to make it at the power forward position. Now for the height, we're going to go 6'7", weight 228 pounds with a 7'4" wingspan, and I ended up going with a built body shape. So the reason that I think this type of build can actually be valuable this year comes down to the new badge tier system that 2K added this year on next gen. As you can see in the defensive badges category, all of the essential big man badges are either tier 1 or tier 2 badges. You get box out beast, pogo stick, brick wall, and post move lockdown all as a tier 1 badge. And then in tier 2 you have anchor, chase down artist, as well as rebound chaser. And then the one really big thing I love to have on this build at the tier 3 badges are Hall of Fame glove and Hall of Fame interceptor, which really make this build a hybrid defender that could guard 1 through 5. Now, I would definitely say the biggest weakness of this build is obviously its height. It's only 6'7", so if you go up against some of those larger centers, the 7'2s or the 7'3s, it might be a little bit of a mismatch in some situations, but you still have some tools available to prevent those centers from dominating. You're going to see later on in this video when we're going up against a 7'3" center in the rec, we can still definitely box out and get boards over them, as well as being able to get some blocks and get some stops in the paint with either using rim protecting or just going for steals with that 99 steal and Hall of Fame glove. Now offensively, this build is not too bad. You get an 85 driving dunk, which is going to be enough to get the pro contact dunks on this build, and secondly you have an 85 three-pointer, which is going to get you that limitless range on silver, which pretty much turns this build into a deadly spot up shooter. Now when it comes to takeovers, you have the options of sharpshooting, lock, rim protecting, as well as glass cleaning takeovers on this build, but I feel like the main weakness of this build is rim protection, since we only have an 87 block and silver anchor. So with that being said, I ended up going with double paint intimidation on this build, which is going to increase our block very high as soon as we activate takeover, and we still get those perks of having paint intimidation activated. So now this player is complete, and coming out of the my player builder, you're going to get the player comparisons of, well, these losers that you see on the screen right here. And then you're going to get the build name Glass Cleaning Lockdown, which is pretty interesting because this build has an 85 three-pointer. But with all of that out of the way, let's get to these gameplays, man. Let's go. All right, so in this first game, we got the worst matchup possible. We're going up against a 7'3", 97 overall glass cleaning finisher at the center position. But I still feel confident. I think we're going to be just fine. And as you can see right here, those 7'3" centers always have the worst case of glass-itis possible, and we get the wide open 3 to get off. Now, as you can see right here on this defensive possession, they're going to chuck up a shot. We're able to box out both of the big men on the other team. So I believe the other guy was a 7'2", so it was a very tall lineup, and we were able to get the box out and make them pay. Now, right here, you could see we are going to take advantage of our speed and make sure that if that center doesn't get back on defense, we're going to get ahead of him and get some open shots. Here's another great example of that right here. The center is playing really aggressive on the inbound, trying to force some sort of tipped pass. I take advantage of that, and I immediately start sprinting up the court as soon as I inbound the ball, and I get this easy bucket to go off. And as you can see right here though, even though our biggest weakness is rim protection, we can still definitely get some blocks on these taller bigs, even though we only have silver anchor and an 87 block. That's why we double up on that rim protector though, so we can become a better rim protector. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And then the one really big important thing that we haven't talked about just yet is the ability to get steals on defense, whether it's off-ball steals through having interceptor or getting on-ball steals while having Hall of Fame glove. And again, right here, we are horsing two 7'3" centers. I believe they were both 7'3s, or one of them was like a 7'2", 7'1". So we were going up against some really big players. And as you see right here, we're getting stops on this big 7'3". I'm telling you, you can actually get some pretty decent stops in the paint on these big men builds that are only 6'7". You got a lot of bounce. You got a lot of hustle since you have the Hall of Fame pogo stick. You have a high vertical. You could box out, get boards over these guys. This single clip was the best example of it so far. And then the biggest thing about this build, like I mentioned, you get that 99 steal, and you can get some really nice blitzes to get off and force some turnovers, which is going to turn into more offensive opportunities for your team as we hit this wide open corner 3 right here. Another advantage of running these short bigs is your jump shot is crazy fast. As you see right here, there wasn't too much space, but we ended up getting off that open 3. Now this is going to be the final highlight of the game right here. He tries to immediately catch and go up with this, and we get the block. I'm telling you, you can still play decent paint defense on this build, even though you're only only 6'7". Now this game is gonna end right here. We ended up winning 93-90. This game ended up going to overtime as well. Now when it comes to the final stats, we ended up going 16-10. We ended up also having 2 steals and 4 blocks. Now I did end up getting out rebounded by the other center by 6 more rebounds, but again, we had more of an impact on defense by forcing those steals and those blocks. So it's kind of a trade-off, and again, like I mentioned, this was the worst matchup possible. But now let's switch over to the park gameplays, and I feel like this is where this build is definitely more viable. Right here, we don't get the defensive rebound though, but we just use that Hall of Fame glove and that 99 steal to just get that ball anyways. Now we're taking the ball up the court. I'm trying to dribble on this build, which is kind of difficult, but we end up getting past our man and getting an easy dunk. Now, do I think this is the best big man build possible? I'm not too certain about that, but I will say it's definitely the most versatile big man possible, especially on the defensive end. This is definitely something that can guard pretty much every single thing that shows up on the court. And not only that, but it's pretty good when it comes to rim protecting and excellent when it comes to forcing turnovers through steals. And as you see right here, even though we're 6'7", on the past 2 plays, we've been getting offensive rebounds like crazy while having that Hall of Fame rebound chaser. Now, I definitely feel like this is a viable big man build, especially in the park, but in the rec center, I recommend you probably run this at the 4. I don't think this is a really competitively viable build at the 5 because, you know, those 7'3" matchups can be tricky at times. You have your advantages against them, but if you can't get steals, they can get some pretty easy buckets in the paint if you don't know what you're doing on the defensive end. This build takes a lot of skill when it comes to trying to stop those bigger players, but again, in the park though, I think this is definitely a viable build at the big man spot. I feel like in the 3v3 situation, the meta height for centers is 6'9" anyways. So, you know, going down an extra 2 inches, but getting all of those extra badges, being able to get those as tier 2 and tier 1 badges, you know, the box out beast, the rebound chaser, chase down artist, getting all of those as lower tier badges can make up the difference for those lost 2 inches in height. And not only that, but having that 99 steal is absolutely insane in this game. Like you see right here, we can still definitely shot create a little bit, hitting fades from 3 on this build. When have you ever seen a glass cleaning lockdown hitting fades from 3? Come on, let's be honest here. And again, forcing turnovers on defense with this build is definitely something that it could do a lot better than the 6'9s, even though the 6'9s get 90 steal. But I think having that 99 steal is just something different. It's it's special to have. But yeah, no, leave your comments down below what you guys think about this build, but that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and you know, leave a like, subscribe, all that, you know, that BS. But I'm gonna be out. There's gonna be like one more clip after this, but we're done. We're good to go. All right, peace.